Welcome to Green Giants, Titans of Renewable Energy, the podcast where insights and innovation meet. Every episode, we dive into conversations with industry leaders, experts, and change makers, bringing you the stories and ideas in the renewable energy sector that shape our world. And now, let's jump into today's episode with your host, Wes Ashworth. Welcome to another episode of Green Giants, Titans of Renewable Energy. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Dr. Gabriela Bunea, the Chief Solar Innovation Officer at GAF Energy. With over 20 years of experience in the solar and microelectronics industries, Gabi has been at the forefront of combining solar energy generation with sustainable building materials. Her impressive career includes leadership roles at SunPower Corporation and Lucent Technologies, and she also holds a PhD in physics from Boston University. Gabi's commitment to advancing solar technology is truly inspiring, and I'm excited to dive into her insights on the future of renewable energy. Gabi, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So we'll start out at an easy place. Can you share just a bit about your background and what led you to pursue a career in the solar industry?
Yeah, I really left my home country, Romania, a while back due to economic reasons. Borders were finally open, right? I grew up in communist regime. And maybe try our luck in another place called America, and lucky enough to get a scholarship and do my PhD studies at Boston University. I spent most of my beginning of my career in telecommunications and working on microelectromechanical devices, primarily semiconductor physics. And with some of the challenges that telecom was in 2000, my husband's PhD advisor suggested that we are two high-tech professionals and we should try our luck in Silicon Valley. And that's how I started at a startup called SunPower at that time as a research and development engineer. SunPower was like about 50 people at that time. Yeah. And what started more like, a job at this startup company, it truly became a career. And I learned how important the solar energy generation is for our planet, for our future generation. And through my job, at SunPower, I basically became trying to become a leader and try to do my best to make solar energy a mainstream form of energy.
Yeah, that's incredible. And then fast forwarding now to your current role with GAF Energy as Chief Solar Innovation Officer, I guess, can you tell us about your role and maybe how it's evolved from when you started till now?
Yeah, my role is basically to lead the innovation at GAF Energy. What this means is any new technology and products that are being developed and released by our company. They are responsibility of my team, and they are incubated by my team. And how it's evolved? Well, you have to imagine that I was really, when I joined GAF Energy, when GAF Energy was formed, I was within the first 5 people, I think. Oh, wow. So, it's basically, I started as a SVP, Senior Vice President, and I was given a challenge to come up with a solar roof. And in time, you have to build a team, you need to come up with a product. So it's a startup, internal startup within the umbrella of standard industry. And I would say it started versus from the time in which I was doing a lot of the work in research or trying to do the work, because there was nobody to really try to hire as much, as fast as I could and build a team, because you work in any industry, you cannot really do anything unless you have a team. Right. Going into today, I would say I'm still doing some hands-on work, mostly because I cannot let go. I like to be involved in the details of the work we are doing, and I want to be together with my team as we go to some of the decisions. But yes, as my job has changed in the last 5 years, I get to speak to you, for example, about the amazing work that we do here at GAF Energy.
Yeah, and I'd love to transition to more of the product and your career behind that and how that all came to be. which is really a revolutionary type of product when you look at a solar panel that, somewhat is somewhat unchanged over the last 25 years to now presenting your product. And so I'd love to understand, what was the inspiration behind developing Timberline Solar Roof and Timberline Solar Roof, or Solar Energy Shingle?
Yeah, the problem is that the challenge that I was given as I was recruited for this job and embark on this journey was come up with a solar roof of the future. And I was asking the owners of the company at that time, what does that mean to you? And he said, we really think they trust strategically that the solar is going to be the future of the roofing, and they wanted GAF Energy to lead that. So in looking at I come from a lot of experience in making the rectangle panel, if you want to look at it. By the way, they've been like this for 100 years more.
Yeah.
One of the first
Even longer.
one I look at it, I gave a talk about that one. It's like they have been a rectangle with a glass and frame for about 100 plus years. And the challenge was knowing how challenging it is to actually have a profitable business, if you want to look at it this way, in residential solar, and trying to make it through all the solar coasters that we've been through in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And looking at the roofing, which has been, it looks more or less like it hasn't changed in the last also 100 plus years. Then the challenge that I had was to try to understand how is the roofing evolve, and what do they offer? Why is it a sustainable business? When I talk a sustainable business, it's like it's self-sustained, it's a profitable business, and they don't seem to go through these up and downs like you would see in more of the retrofit solar. So I often kind of refer to the challenge that Timberline Solar addresses. It's basically trying to come up with a product and an idea which is more like fitting more into the roofing practices than into the solar practices. And when we came up with the concept, it takes forever, not forever, but like 3 years more or less, which is not a lot in today's startup world. But that was basically, I think, the fundamental change that we approach. We approach the product from a roofing perspective, not from a solar perspective. Mm-hmm. And I like to say a lot of things that the first year or two that we spent here at GAF Energy was actually learning about what does it mean to be a roof. Most people don't really think about it. Honestly, when I joined the company, if somebody would ask me what the roof is, it's like there's 3 of them, asphalt, metal, and tile, and that's about it. But I had no idea what does actually the roofing do for a homeowner or for a house. So learning from that and trying to, with a lot of experience, that the first people we brought on board had solar experience primarily, and try to kind of merge the two worlds together. So this is really kind of how all came about. And it took a lot of course, pivoting and try it. The product definitely doesn't look like the way our concept looked like.
Yeah. What did that look like? Maybe some of the early prototype products versus like what it is today. I'd love to hear just kind of like where it started, where it is now.
Well, at some point, the engineering team, that the research development, there were people who were like roofers. We actually had people from the, some experience in BIPV. There's a lot of people who are technological people. Then we actually work quite close with GAF, our sister company, who has a lot of roofing experience. And, we've basically always kind of assumed that we need to have a roof. And then the biggest challenge that we had was, what do you do with electrical interconnections? Because you get rid of the frame, and then it's like, so we, coming from glass and basically metal frame, the first thing we kind of say is like, we can't have them because they're too tall, and that's basically not looking good. That's not the roof, And then the other one was like contourable, like a asphalt roof or not. Then we kind of try to elevate the entire kind of roof plane and then to hide the electrical connection under it, and that was like, the roofer just didn't want it. At the end of the day, I think one thing we realized, and we did really early in our explorations of idea, was to come up with really prototypes and then actually give them to our partners, the roofers, both that we had on staff as well as through GAF, and says like, how does it look like? Does it feel, that touch and feel? And that was kind of what helped us. We got customer feedback and partner feedback at the end of very early in the game to help us kind of guide on what it is. Why the product looks the way it is like that and is not bigger like the solar panel. So it's because it's an ergonomic function. The roofers are basically handling the asphalt, the roof, while they are walking at incline, and that's something that you need to experience. I've never been on a roof in my life before. I did, with all safety, but I think the team that we had developed this product, I wanted them to put themselves into the customer shoes, and or the partner shoes, if you want to look at it. Who's going to actually want to sell this product and is going to want to install the product? So most of our decisions from a product were made to basically enable the roofer to install our product, our energy shingle, as basically in the same way as they do an asphalt. So once we figured that one out, then we kind of work on the product to be like that.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. I love that from the perspective of the roofer who's installing it and really taking that stance. I think is incredibly simple but genius. So tell me, I guess for those that don't know, this significance. So this is the world's first nailable solar shingle. Like how does it revolutionize the solar roofing industry? What's the significance of it being the first nailable solar shingle?
We really think the product is a game changing because of how simple it is to install, and the design changes we had to overcome in order to make that happen. So the roofer, we've learned and we've designed the product in such a way that when they transition from asphalt roof to the solar shingle, when they build a Timberline solar roof, they really do not change their tools, and they do not change the way they actually are installing. So today, basically, we say it's the first Nailable because all you have to do is take the product that comes packaged somehow similar to the asphalt roof, and then the roofer does the same motion, which is they lay down on the deck. There is some alignment methods that they need to do it anyway for the asphalt. All they have to do is basically put a bunch of nails, and then they move on to the next one. So that's really what we did. The other thing which I think is super powerful is the fact that the product is designed to be a roof and the building integrated. So you can think about that. The roofer will install Timberline solar roof and they cannot turn it on. They, hypothetically, you don't have to turn it on. And it will function as a roof for the warranty period, which is 25 years. And that was one of the biggest challenges that we had to overcome, how to meet those requirements and be also not only the challenge from a design perspective, but also from certification, right? Any product that is electrical or a solar product need to be certified with certification agencies. And it's super funny. The first version almost took us 2 years to certify because the certification agency had no idea. They give you a quote, but because it's like, oh, it's a solar product, so cool. But then once you show them the drawings and the product, there was a pause, And then my is like they didn't know how to test it, so it took a while for them to come up with the methodology and for us, because again, this product is kind of sitting in between the two worlds, the roofing agencies and the BIPV agencies.
Yeah, that's incredible stuff. And I'd love to hear, so you mentioned some of the key challenges you face while developing the Timberline solar energy shingle. I'd love to hear about some of those design challenges or some of those challenges and really how you and your team overcame them and what was that process like?
So I mentioned earlier, the first thing was for us to learn what the roof is. And we learned that it needs to withstand, protects the home, which means they have a certain requirement for waterproofing, for around the elements, a certain fire rating, and a certain wind rating. So those are kind of and again we learn all this from courtesy of collaboration with our sister company GAF.
Sure.
And very, very soon we kind of understood what those requirements are as a roofing. And then the challenge was, how are we going to make a solar product that is basically meeting those requirements? For example, a roofer, when they will install a roof, they will have to walk on the panel. So everybody is going to tell you that, in any warranty you read on the retrofit panel, that don't walk on the panel. So the challenge to the team was, you have to design a product which you need to be walk on the panel multiple times. It cannot look bad. It cannot crack the cells. You name it. And by the way, it has to last for 25 years after you walk on them. And or you drop whatever tool you have, etc. Definitely, there's a lot of movement. You walk multiple times on one roof element or one energy shingle before you actually move to the next one. So that was the first one. The second one, which was very challenging also for us, was the classifier. So the asphalt roof that we wore, it's a classifier rating by design, like non-specific underlayment. So how to make the product to meet that requirement was one of the challenge. And the fire testing is super difficult to repeat, because inherently fire, it's difficult to reproduce even with certification agencies. So a lot of work went into some of the work. And then the fact that we had a very different solar panel than per se, and as the question is like, it doesn't fit into the world of the roofing, or it doesn't really fit in the world of the solar standard panel. So we also have to come up with quite unique tools to manufacture it, to test it, and and package it. And so this kind of is like complete journey of kind of try to integrate two commoditized to a certain point worlds, which are the roofing world and the solar world. So that's where we end up.
And I'm curious through that too, and leading through that, right? And a product that doesn't necessarily exist in the market today, sitting in between two things. Like, it's not technically roofing, it's not technically a solar panel. It's the blend of the two, and some of those unique challenges that you mentioned. How do you lead through that, and how do you get the team, I guess, thinking the right way, or pushing in the right direction to be able to do that, and that really kind of breakthrough type of product?
So we had solar people, we had material people, we had device people. At the end of the day, at Energy, we built a team that it's a blend of the two worlds.
Yeah.
And that was maybe one of the things that we learned as we went, because you had to have multiple opinions. And there was quite lively debates, which was because those people who are it's like, no, this should be like the highest efficiency solar panel in the world. And then you have the people which is like, you cannot make it bigger than this because I cannot align it. So everything that you see in today's product is the result of quite lively debate across the company. That was at that time because the bigger, the larger you make, typically the lower your cost it is. How do you have the right, compromise or the right balance between making what the customer we think it needs and versus, the rest of it, how many new tools we need to invent or metrology or you name it in order to do that. So a little bit is like hiring the people who are willing to step out of the norm. So that's and then have quite a diverse opinion, since you basically have roofers who don't really know much about materials, but they just say. So in our team, we have people with more than 20 years experience as roofer, people who own roofing company before, and I think that was instrumental in teaching the rest of the team of the practicality aspect that the product needs to meet in order to be accepted by the roofers.
Yeah, and I love you hit on a key thing there, and just that kind of disagreement, right? Like you need those different opinions coming in, and I think creating an environment where people are willing to speak up and voice that as well too. Like, is that something that you leaned into or encouraged in terms of that healthy kind of disagreement or debate? And I'm curious about leading through that, because it can't be easy just, if you just let it happen.
Yeah, I think we have in general, we encourage a lot of discussion, collaboration, and I am a very hands-on person because I like to know how things are. I always like to put myself into the shoes of our customers or our partners, and hence it's like bite the bullet and go and be on the roof. We were trained to go on the roof, so one of the things is like so you have to just understand how the product is actually in the field and how that is, and then you come back and then okay, maybe that one is not kind of the best idea because I don't know how to lift the panel from the ground up to the roof, for example, or have that. But I think at the end of the day, it really comes to creating and fostering trust between some of the people that I've worked for many years or I've known for years, and that trust is implied if you know somebody for a long time. I think also having the people kind of comfortable that conflict from our decision, I cannot make all the decision. I don't know enough about it, and the product is too complicated. And in general, I think the also most important thing is the willingness to learn. And we are fostering kind of a lot of like a weekly exchange, for example, in which everybody is welcome to bring their idea. So you will see the person who are in charge of the solar cells, kind of give a presentation about their latest work, but you are also going to see people from the application design team who are going to tell you about how the latest idea in installation work or didn't work. So I think overall it's everybody's willingness and motivating the people to truly learn from each other and step out of their comfort zone and help, and the other one is just my boss. Generally it's a culture at GAF Energy of trust, conflict, results. So he's every company meeting or every chance he gets, he's really give us about examples about that, and because we firmly believe here that is core to create an environment which is required in our culture in order to come up with a more game-changing solutions.
Yeah, love it. And kind of transitioning a little bit to current day and where things are. So I know you had a recent opening of your second manufacturing facility in Georgetown, Texas. What does that expansion mean for GAF Energy and just the future of solar roofing as you see it?
Yeah, we are super proud of the scaling and our opening of our second factory so soon after our first one. What really this means, it's the fact that the testimony is the product is ready to be scaled, and the adoption that we believe it's going to kind of come as the product it's being manufactured in the Fab 2. We call it Fab 2. It's Georgetown. The other thing that's really important for us is, once that factory is fully ramped, we will be like the largest solar roofing company in the United States. We believe that the solar market in the United States will continue to be strong, and we really kind of, it's just maybe the first next natural step for us to be able to serve our customers and continue to grow as we work to transform the roofing into a solar roofing.
Yeah. And so from here, what's thinking about what's next? So what other advancements or innovations are you currently working on, I guess, that you can share with us? And what can we expect from GAF Energy in the near future?
So we constantly innovate. The innovation is invisible to the partners or the roofers and the homeowners, but we've done a lot of work on scaling the product. So with a factory like the Georgetown factory, you need to increase and make sure the supply is there. So we've done some work to make sure that as that factory is scaling, there is enough supply for all the components that we are requiring. We've continued to improve what you would call power density, which is the output of the same, because the economics is quite strong as you continue. We continue to make progress on the functionality of the product as a roof, and continue to basically evolve the product such that it's scalable and ready to go across United States. We test it, in all the kind of areas, right? We have the same product going in 4 seasons in Minnesota, for example, all the way to Texas and Florida. So we are continuing to kind of evolve our learnings and make sure the product is meeting its warranty all 25 years. For what's next, I think, foundationally, I like to look at our product. The way I think is not going to change significantly the way it looks today. Probably is going to be the same as like the rectangle panel in the retrofit. Some version of it may change, but yeah, we are continuing to basically think about what other products are required in the market for us. There will be customers which are more about, mainstream solar, but also we are talking about what other the customer, needs. We are primarily looking at aesthetics, how to combine the product more seamless with the rest of the asphalt roof, and so kind of across the board technological changes as well as really focus on aesthetics, which was something that we pay a lot of attention from the get-go.
Yeah, love it. You mentioned not really envisioning the product as a whole. It's maybe aesthetically, it might have been what you said, changing a whole lot. If you were, I guess, fast forwarding 30, 50 years with no, you remove the limitations, like, do you have a vision of what you would eventually want it to become?
It's funny. You should talk to the owner of the company recently. I was asked that question.
Yeah.
I think I don't know exactly how the product is going to look 30 years from now. I know it's going to probably evolve, but I can tell you that what we are working here to do is truly transform the roofing industry. So I think about the fact that today a roof on top of your building, a house, it's a need. So you don't really have a house if you don't. It's like kind of given. And I think today a solar roof is still a want. So people need to make the conscious decision to do that. So as I was looking probably 30 years from now, I really hope that we play a role in making a solar roof a need. And however the product is going to look like in order to meet that requirement, we'll figure it out and like that. So I think it's more of a meeting the need of the customer, whether that is an aesthetic need, a cost need, or a functionality need. Hopefully, it will be a version of what we have today or whatever else, we need to invent.
Yeah, and those are the important pieces, right? At turning each of those levers, and those are the barriers for entry with a lot of customers who kind of I don't like the aesthetics, or the efficiency isn't good enough, or what cost isn't where it should be. And so the more we start to pull on those levers and go, okay, aesthetically it looks nicer now, it's integrated, and then the install, to your point, just from the perspective of the roofers, to make that easy to install. They're using the same tools they use today, and making that as seamless as possible. Obviously, that's what's consumer adoption is going to go up and up and up, and there's still so much room for that and opportunity. We're just, I think, in the beginning of it. So, yes. That's incredible. So, kind of digging into it again, and maybe some of the comparisons, because I'm sure people that are listening that's where your mind goes to, is how does this compare to a regular solar panel? In terms of things like cost, efficiency, does it make sense in certain use cases, maybe not in others? I guess if you were to sort of just compare between the two, what are the major differences there, advantages, and maybe disadvantages, I guess?
Yeah. I don't think there's any disadvantages.
Love it.
Get them out of the way. I think you gotta look at it as we have, from a cost to the homeowner. At the end of the day, the product is basically on par with what you would call today a retrofit. So if you think about the homeowner, when they have to change their asphalt roof, they have the option to change the roof and add basically a solar retrofit, kind of the big rectangle panels that typically it's two separate companies. Sometimes, that's kind of it. When we go and offer basically it's an integrated roof, so it's one company, one construction projects, one warranty from a company who's been around for more than 100 years. So generally speaking, even in today's, I would call it subscale, that we have, because we are just at the beginning, we are able to basically compete with retrofit options in basically anywhere. And I think as we continue to grow, we are going to for sure beat that options. And why I'm saying that is you need to look at the fact that today's the asphalt market in United States about 5 million roofs. What this means, 5 million roofs in United States get re-roofed every year. And our capacity, it's like in tens of thousands of houses right now.
Yeah, okay.
So we kind of have a long way to go. So, again, the roofing, it's commoditized, it's a large-scale industry, so is the retrofit panels. We are really at the beginning, and we are able to compete today, and I think in the future we are going to be way better.
Yeah, no, I love it. Well said. I love it. No disadvantages. We'll leave it that.
Not that I can think of, but feel free to let me know.
I like it. Just thinking about your insights and overall just with the industry. So I guess what are you personally most passionate about when it comes to solar innovation and the renewable energy sector as a whole?
Yeah. I never imagined I'm going to make a career out of it. I'm going to that. So having two children which are in school and something, I always say like be open to anything. You never know where your life is taking you. So I really, at the end of the day, I've embraced this industry and try to advocate for it and try to do my best to actually move it forward so it becomes widely adopted. I am passionate about, it's like, you get to a point in your career and it's like, why do you wake up every day in the morning and go to work? Like many ways, like I'm still at the beginning, and as much as solar is getting adopted, and continue to increase, it's kind of still, only scratching the surface. So I'm really hoping that, the work that we do here is just make it basically as seamless as integrated into your future life or your everyday life, as maybe 10 years from now, maybe 5, maybe 20, hopefully no more than that. When you are going to change your roof in your house, putting a solar roof should be like a no-brainer. I sometimes kind of look at it, it's like today you wouldn't really buy a car which doesn't have pressure sensors on your tires or cameras. It's like, me, that kind of is like even the norm. That's kind of how I look at the solar functionality of the roof. It's like we have to get it to such a way that, it's like what? You used to buy a roof that didn't have a solar? What was that?
Right.
A little bit like the kids right now is like, it's like, what was that before an iPhone? They don't really, how did you live before that?
I love it. I love that analogy. Even seeing the evolution of phones, right? Like there was a time not too long ago, none of us had smartphones, and now almost everyone. There's a small percentage that don't, but most everyone. So I love that. I love that vision. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's Mecca, right? That's the goal. Thinking about solar or specific to renewable energy, if you're looking at the industry, you're looking at growth. This year in ways have been very challenging. Other areas it's been great. There's growth and a lot of great things happening. What's your confidence level? Any bold predictions in terms of just how you're feeling about the industry and growth and what's ahead and for the next year to 5 years?
Yeah, I personally and also GAF Energy, we are super bullish on it. I think we're not really trying to compare much with the solar industry because we don't think that business model is it's been working. We are truly kind of following and trying to follow more the roofing business model, and that's quite humbling to understand. Again, first time when I joined Standard Industry family was like, what? You make roofs and your factories are in United States, and coming from a solar kind of business where the factory were overseas. And the question was like, how do you compete? How do you actually make it work? So super bullish on that, super careful about, we don't want to just grow. We want to grow a business which will be sustainable and make sense in the future. And we are working very closely with the ownership and our sister companies to make that. That's why you see is like we put factories in the United States. And that's because it's like we are trying to follow, or we are following the business model of the roofing rather than the solar, and we're trying to make I'm not saying it's easy, okay?
No.
But it's like but that's, I think that's required in order for the industry to truly move in the forward. And at the end of the day, we've installed a few thousand roofs so far, and I'm looking at the 5 million which are only available today in United States. And Standard Industry is a global company, right? They own about 30% of the roofing as a market share globally. So we have our work cut out for us, but I'm super energized about all this opportunity.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear it. And it's such a cool concept, just thinking about it from a roofing industry perspective, and it makes so much sense. Especially, GAF, it's known, it's recognizable, and you kind of recognize Timberline and for shingles, and it just got that acceptance already. This makes a ton of sense. But yeah, there's tons of, like you said, 5 million roofs. Is that what you said?
5 million.
Yeah, lots of opportunity.
5 million.
5 million a year get replaced. I think that's it.
5 million a year get. Think about it. As I said, this is my learning. Information.
Yeah, right. So anybody out there listening that's about to replace a roof, if you're there, now's the time.
Okay.
I'm curious too. As you are. Something near and dear to my heart, obviously, recruiting, hiring, finding the right people for companies in order to make these things happen. So if you are building that team, and you rewind a bit to early days of, it's just a handful of individuals, and you're thinking about, we've got some really complex problems to solve. We're kind of in a, disruptive type of product that's unique and unusual. When you're hiring those people for your innovation team, what are some of the key things that you look for, like in individuals when you're interviewing, when you're talking to them? Like, what are those keys that make a successful team that's able to make something like that happen?
I try to be as honest as I am with the people, and I always tell them that I don't like average teams. I don't run average team. I don't build and run average team. I like to be super competitive. I don't know, I was born like that, but I always kind of reinforce that we are a high performing team. And what that means is not that you work 20 hours out of 24. It's more about the ideas that are coming. So the people that, or some of the skills we've been looking and continue to look, it's really people not afraid to step out of their comfort zone. And that usually happens in discussions. We give them problems to solve.
Okay.
Just the thinking. We don't expect them to solve the problem, but we are interested more about how they approach the problem and how they think about the problem. So people who are comfortable out of their out of the kind of zone. People who are not afraid to fail fast. I generally tell them, it's like, if you don't fail a component, I don't think you understand how that component works, and how are we going to make sure that that's a 25-year reliability product. So I like people to fail the components and go in the lab and do your best. But the people need to be able to be comfortable to fail and pick up and come back. So it takes, it's most of our life in research and development. Our ideas don't work. So it takes a special kind of a person and a special and to be able to pick up and then start with yet a new idea next day to try to do that. So we are doing a lot of that, and in general I constantly reinforce to the team that it's okay to fail, but please fail. Ideally you want to fail as early as possible, so later when you are ready to ramp a product and you see a problem, it's okay, we'll deal with it, but it's not. So those are the type of people that we kind of hurt on one hand. On the other hand, we also have to be quite recognizing the fact that this product needs to scale and this product needs to meet certain quality requirement. So we have a combo of people who are like pushing the envelope, and coming up with quite out of box ideas, but we also have some people who've been in industry for a long time, and they are more like the wise people, which are kind of says like, yeah, that you can't really scale that one or something like that.
Yeah.
Or you'll have that. So you have to have the same, but foundationally, you need to be able to step out of your comfort zone. You have to be open to new things, and don't reinvent the wheel. That's the most boring thing ever. So I don't really want to work on boring stuff.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's a great roadmap there, and just key to success in building an innovative team. And I think some of those traits that you hit on. So as we're getting closer to time, I want to ask a couple more questions. One, and this will be pretty open, but anything, so anybody listening, whether they're a part of the industry now, whether they're interested in the industry or just, starting to look into it or intrigued, whatever that might be, are there any things that you would want them to take away? If they would learn one thing about GAF Energy today, or two things, like what doesn't everybody know, and what should they know?
I never imagined in my career that I'm going to end up working on a roof. Okay,
yeah.
So that actually working on the roof is going to be exciting, and you can innovate and write patents and actually come up with it. So I would say don't discount the boring stuff or what you perceive as boring stuff, because there's opportunities to actually go and innovate in that one as well. I think the other one is, for many of us that work here at GAF Energy, we truly do it because we feel it's our calling to try to make solar mainstream of energy. I think it's very strong motivation for everybody that works here. Not 100% of the people will be that, but the majority of them, they work in the industry because they're truly dedicated to make that happen. So I think being motivated by something like that is very powerful, and it makes for great employees and great attention.
That's great. And I think that is critical. It's aligning that passion, right? And you have to have a bigger why, then, especially when it is challenging, especially when it's it's a tough go, and it takes a lot to get to a point of a lot of failure, failing quick and failing often. And that takes a certain type of person, as you said. But when you have that alignment of passion, and you get up every day and it's like, but I'm helping push this forward. That goes a long, long way. So I agree wholeheartedly. And next question, just as we wrap up, thinking about, and you mentioned like you've nowhere near done. You got a lot of gas left in the tank, a lot of electricity left in the tank. We'll say that. What do you hope your legacy will be? So if you look back, when you're finally done, retired, and looking back at it, what do you hope your legacy will be in the renewable energy industry?
Yeah. I kind of just take it as we go. Honestly, I didn't have an agenda coming and working in this country or coming at it. I'm hopeful that the type of roof and the foundation work we are doing in the solar roofing at GAF Energy will actually thrive and become the norm. And I think if that's happening, I'll be happy. It doesn't say designed by R&D team or GAF Energy. That it doesn't really matter for us. I think the most fulfilling thing that I see is driving today is around the neighborhood around our San Jose location, and see already some of our roofs which are next to the rest of the competitive product. And I think I'm just hoping before I'm done I see more and more of them. And if solar roof is going to become a need versus a want, I'll be super proud of all that, and nobody really needs to know my name.
Yeah, no, well said. And that'll kind of bring us to the end of our conversation. But Gabi, thank you so much for sharing your journey and the incredible innovations you're leading in the solar industry. It is really clear that your work is not just about advancing technology, but also about shaping a more sustainable future. And to everyone out there listening, as always, we appreciate you joining us for this episode of Green Giants, Titans of Renewable Energy. And if you found value in today's discussion, don't forget to subscribe, share it with others, stay tuned for more inspiring stories from the forefront of clean energy, and check out GAF Energy, give them a follow, and look into all things from roofing options to also careers and everything else. So until next time, we will see you then.
This episode of Green Giants, Titans of Renewable Energy, was brought to you by Lee Group Search. If you enjoyed today's discussion and are looking to recruit top talent for your company or find your next career opportunity in the renewable energy sector, visit leegroupsearch.com. Let's continue driving the future of clean energy together. Until next time, keep pushing toward a greener future.